Outsourcing to free up your time, if you have the right mentality, is better than you saving money.
For sure.
That was such a hard lesson to learn. You're a software company. I didn't learn how to code to save this myself. I brought on a trusted expert friend to do that so that I could focus on my expertise and save a lot of my time. Could I do everything?
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Would I want to? Hell no. Would that bring me joy? Hell no. I've outsourced my suck, I always like to say.
Austin Armstrong is a lifelong digital marketer, public speaker,
2x seven-figure entrepreneur,
host of the podcast Business Talk, and CEO of Syllabi,
an AI startup that helps content creators create, schedule, and publish videos in minutes. Austin has posted over 4,000 videos on TikTok, tripling his own business's revenue and thousands more across his clients' accounts.
There's so many people that think that they buy that one course online and their entire life is going to change. Well, sorry to break it to you, and any guru or anybody that pitches that to you, run.
If you're a millionaire, why sell a course?
Because they're straight up lying to you, and the reason that they're rich is because they're selling you that false dream.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Financial Mastery Simplified. I am your host, Jax Crider, and today we have Mr. Austin Armstrong. Austin is an amazing friend. We had met several years back at Video Marketing World, and he was such just a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge about all things, AI, all things video related content, you name it. And so I'm excited to have him on the show today. Welcome, Austin. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're excited to be on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a privilege and a blast to chat with you. I'm just excited to just have a conversation, to be honest. I look for any excuse to talk about this stuff because the reality is that in everyday life, nobody cares about content strategy, social media marketing strategy, AI, developing different income streams, at least in my surrounding area. So I love talking about this stuff. And I'm just excited to share what I know. Hopefully it's helpful to people. And so we can all lift each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Austin was giving an interesting stat a moment ago before we started filming, and that was that most millionaires have at least 7 streams of income. And so I think a lot of people have this idea that you can get rich quick. You know, there's so many advertisements out there that it's so easy, man. You just start a real quick side hustle and the millions just start rolling into your door. And I wish it was that simple. But Austin could tell you more than anybody that that's just not the case.
Oh my gosh, no, it's yeah, a lot of work. And there's so many people that think that they buy that one course online and their entire life is going to change. Well, sorry to break it to you, and any guru or anybody that pitches that to you, run. Because they're straight up lying to you, and the reason that they're rich is because they're selling you that false dream. It is there are clear paths, but you have to develop multiple streams of income, 100%. If you're just relying solely on your job, that's not going to get you to where you want to go.
Right. I mean, it could probably produce you a very, cookie cutter kind of lifestyle if that's really what you're on board with and stuff like that and things. But I mean, I will tell you the kind of career path that maybe our grandparents or great grandparents and previous took, where you work for one company for 30, 40 years, and that company kind of took care of you from a pension aspect, etc. And you were kind of set up financially. It just unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. I'll never forget, I had a conversation with my dad and he could not understand why I had moved companies multiple times, in the course of my corporate career, path. And he just could not understand that. And I said, well, unfortunately, companies aren't loyal to you. And that's why we're not loyal to companies anymore. Right.
Yeah.
You oftentimes find that you can actually start at a company and you're better off leaving that company, going elsewhere, and then coming back to get the kind of dollars that you're valued at, because that company won't give them to you unless you leave and then come back.
Totally agree. I don't have a corporate background, but my wife does. And so it's, and she's a MBA, and that's very common in that space, is zigzagging to the top, essentially.
Yep.
the new job will hire you at a higher position than you previously were, and then vice versa as you're jumping around. And so that, yeah, it's a different way of thinking. I'm only 34. I don't know the older generation's mindset and life path. I'm not going to pretend to be there, but it's changing, and that's the reality of the world that we live in right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I mean, with the fact that we haven't seen many income gains for about the better part of about 20 years, it's definitely more of a challenge to be able to outpace how much things are rising in cost and where your income stream is rising. So, if you're not going to zigzag or try to figure out how to climb the corporate ladder at such a pace to be able to make the kind of funds that you want to make, then multiple income streams is probably your better bet. And that's pretty much what we're going to focus on for the most part on this episode. So for those of you who maybe only want to do a just straight corporate job and that's all you're ever interested in, we might not be the episode for you today. However, we are going to talk a little bit about, how you kind of create those income streams and maybe some of the best ways to tap into them. Because right now with the influx of AI, there's never been a better time and an easier time to truly tap into your potential and really explode it if you do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to jump in.
All right. So kind of tell everybody a little bit more about, because you have a very unique path. First of all, your background, I think, is in like kind of social media in general, advertising, marketing, things like that. But you recently just shut down your marketing agency because you started doing something else full time. So tell us a little bit about what you started to do and why you did it.
Yeah, so I have a very untraditional path. I don't even have a college degree, to be honest. I have been doing one thing for the vast majority of my life, and that is social media marketing. October 2024 is we're recording it at the end, not to date this episode, but I've been doing this for 20 years now. I've been doing social media marketing for 20 years straight. Wow. Whenever you do something for a long period of time, it doesn't have to be 20 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you become a specialist. And
or at least you should be.
At least you should be. If you don't have it figured out after 20 years, I don't know what you've been doing. but yeah, so I have been in social media marketing for 20 years. I've been doing video marketing, specifically organic video marketing, for 11 years. I moved out to California 11 years ago. I started as an unpaid intern at a video marketing agency that specialized in the behavioral health space. So doing YouTube, and to be honest, it was really only YouTube 11 years ago. To do video marketing with like addiction treatment centers and psychologists and therapists and different individuals in that area. And I loved it, and I worked my way up from being an unpaid intern to a paid intern to a part-time employee to a full-time employee to leadership positions. That led me to being head of digital marketing at several like drug and alcohol treatment centers and different mental health organizations. I really love working with that population of experts. About 6 years ago, I started my first company, which was called Socialty Pro, which was an organic social media marketing and SEO agency. Grew that around my personal brand, which in hindsight, I would not have done it that way. Everything we do in life is a lesson. The reason I shut it down, to be honest, is because it wasn't sustainable without my full-time being there to grow the company. It was the vast majority of the clients that were there were really only there to work with me. And it was the only one that could really sell for whatever reason and close the deals. So there's that. I tried, but through those 11 years of working in agency space, I really started to develop proven, repeatable processes for growing online. And there was also very repeatable problems that were the reason why a business owner or an entrepreneur would hire a marketing agency in the first place. And so I came up eventually with the idea to with AI and software to automate and streamline everything at a high level that I was doing at my agency to make it faster, and it's 200 times cheaper per month than what my agency was charging people. And so social media has changed my life. My whole mission is to just provide the tips, tools, and strategies to help change other people's lives as well, as long as they're at least willing to give it a shot. And so almost 2 years ago, it's like a year and 10 months right now, I created a company called Syllabi, syllabi.io, syllaby.io. Which allows you to create, schedule, and publish videos to social media in minutes. You can create about a month's worth of targeted social media videos in a matter of minutes without ever needing to press record. That's what I wanted to do, and we're constantly expanding on that. It has been a blessing. It has been phenomenal. But yeah, that's kind of the last 20 years of my life wrapped up into what I'm doing now. And I've learned a lot along the way. I mean, haven't been so active in social media. There's so many different income streams that you can build from online marketing. Like, we can talk traditional, stuff if you want. Like, I've got a rental property and, different stuff along the lines of that. But the vast majority of my income streams come from online marketing.
Well, and I think a lot of people have to understand that marketing is one of the harder things for most people to do. I mean, my business coach tells me all the time that I am lights out one of the best asset creators she's ever seen. So when I create, something like a book or like a lead magnet, for those of you who don't know what a lead magnet is, like something of value. So maybe like a PDF or a course or a video or any of these types of things. I'm super good at creating that content because I have a lot of education, a lot of background. I put a lot of thought and energy into making sure that it's going to land appropriately. I'm great at that. I am not super great at creating those eyeballs. So a lot of people have to understand that this is where, when you are creating your side hustle, first of all, figure out what you're really great at and what you're really passionate about, because you're probably going to do more successfully something you're great at and really passionate about. It's probably why you stayed in it for 20 years, right? Versus
definitely.
something you're just having to do because it pays the bills or whatever the case may be, right? Your regular 9 to 5 is probably what is paying the bills right now, but you can scale out where you can either replace that income or create just a very, significant side hustle to do that. But a lot of times, like I said, you're going to need some additional pieces. So like, for one reason that I use Syllabi is because I'm not the most proficient at marketing. It's not something that I'm particularly good at. I tease my husband all the time. He's great. I tease him that he's like Mad Men. He's really good at kind of coming up with like really quippy things off the fly. I'm not good at that. Brevity is not my strong suit, as anybody who listens to the podcast knows. That's not really my strong suit. And so, but this is something that I will tell you is, with the power of AI, be it videos like what Austin's doing, via building out some kind of content level on like maybe a book or anything like that. All of these things AI can help assist you with. It's like a weird superpower, if you will. I was actually writing an article, so I'm writing some articles for a women's magazine in the mortgage space, a mortgage women's magazine, and I was asked to write like a series of articles. Super excited. I was like, awesome, I'd love to help. But I sometimes have trouble organizing my thoughts into a way that makes sense for people. It's why I like being in conversations with people, because that's easier for me to like stay on task and on point. And so I was feeding all this information in the chat last night, and I'm like telling it kind of what I want to say, more or less, like what's the point, my stories and all that stuff. And it succinctly organized like all of the pieces for me. So it's still me. I mean, I was still the one who did all of that piece, that work. But yeah, I mean, so I've just learned over the course of time that anybody can create something, but they have to decide what is going to resonate with them. That's sort of why I created Financial Mastery Simplified to begin with. I feel very strongly that the talking heads in my space, they tell everybody there's only one right way. This is it. Just swallow this magic pill and you're going to be good. Like, you'll become debt free, or whatever the hell whatever their viewpoint of financial success is. And I'm like, pardon me, but that's BS. Like, your view of financial success, I guarantee you, is not my view, versus even maybe your wife's view, or your best friend's view, or you know what I mean, my brother's view. Like all those people have different viewpoints, and I firmly don't believe any of them are wrong.
Yeah, there's so many ways to success, and exactly, success is defined differently from person to person as well.
Yeah, so you just have to figure out, how you want to live. Maybe your 9 to 5 will cover your bills, right? Maybe
Yeah,
that's going to be sufficient enough. But it's probably not a horrible idea to maybe have something. But whatever it is you're going to do, please pick something that you like to do. Like everybody knows from all the episodes, if they've watched any of them, that I like to shop. And I joke all the time about my 40,000 cups that I have that are all freaking purple that are behind me. Um, and I like to shop. So like if I was wanting to come up with an additional side hustle, doing the ones where it's like a video on Amazon and where you're talking about the thing and why it helps your life would be a great choice for me. Okay. But my ops manager, who is the biggest minimalist ever, he'll wear a shirt until it's falling apart and has holes in it. Because why buy another one? I mean, it's serving its purpose, which is to clothe his back. He would be the worst person ever to do like a side hustle of trying to do affiliate marketing through Amazon, right? Like that would be miserable.
Yep.
Do you have something that would be miserable for you that you're like, oh, I could not create that income stream at all?
I mean,
he's like, I put him on the spot. He's like,
yeah, you definitely put me on the spot. Like I don't, I'm not a finance guy, believe it or not, even though we're talking about this. Like I don't like really digging into the numbers. I like just creating content about what I am interested in, and everything kind of falls into place on the rest. I hate talking about politics, to be honest. So like I would never,
I couldn't do that either.
I would never in a million years be a political influencer or anything like that. I love eating food, but I don't like really cooking or preparing food, to be honest. So like I could never see myself doing that. Oh, another one. I'm not handy at all. I'm very good on computers, but I am not the DIY house guy. My wife is, to believe. My wife like has built furniture in our house. She's so handy. That's just not me. I'm not that guy.
Me and my husband, so I get that.
Yeah, I am just not that guy. So those are what comes to mind. I just stay in my lane, and it's worked. I have stayed in my lane for 20 years straight, and it's worked out in business and in life pretty well.
But I think that what you said is interesting, right? You make the comment that, hey, the numbers end up working their way out. And so that's another thing that I feel like I definitely believe that you should goal set and you should have an idea. And I like I said, I tell my girls all the time, look, figure out where you want to be and kind of work backward, right? Like what kind of lifestyle do you want it to look like? Where do you want to go and kind of figure that out? And yes, you do have to kind of know the numbers-ish to figure that out. So like you have to have some kind of rough ideas. But I do firmly believe that if you're doing things that you're passionate about, if you're really putting in your effort and not just throwing money at everything, okay? So you can't just be willy-nilly throwing money at everything. But if you do it in a way that resonates with you, you will find success, financially and otherwise. And I think we too often focus so heavily on the numbers. And again, this coming from the numbers lady, like I love the math. I like to look at how all of that works. But what most people don't understand or believe is like the reason I got into mortgage is because like I was actually supposed to be a mechanical engineer. That's what I started going to school for. I was taking calculus 2 for engineers the very first semester in college. I love math. I like calculus. I like all that stuff. But I didn't like that math didn't really intersect with people. I didn't like that. And mortgage was like a math that intersected with people. And there was some pliability to those numbers, some creativity, if you will. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that it's the same thing in life. There's creativity with your numbers. It's just you have to be self-aware enough to know like what you want and kind of where you're going. And a lot of people just don't have a clue about that. And so they're like, why am I not succeeding financially? Well, where are you even going? Like, do you have an idea? You know what I mean? Like, do you have a thought where you want to be? Like you were saying, you don't like to cook. So I guarantee you one of your goals is that you and your wife are able to eat out a whole bunch because that's miserable.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I mean, I eat out constantly. Yeah. We're haven't pulled the trigger yet, but probably personal chef.
Yeah. No, exactly. And so that's one of your goals. Whereas I'm the opposite of you.
Yeah.
I love to cook. Like I
Yeah.
find a lot of self-worth in creating. There's like something about that process that for me is
Yeah.
very cathartic. Like
Mhm.
feeling like I fed my family and that I was able to
Yeah.
pick the ingredients and make them kind of marry together in a way, right? And so
Mhm.
like I did a whole episode by myself where I talked nothing about how I save money through food because it's one of the biggest things that you will spend money on.
Mhm.
However, if that's not your thing and you're like, hey, this is a goal of mine, like I don't want to do all that, I don't want to cook or whatever,
Yeah.
maybe you have to do it for a period until you can figure out how to get to your,
Yeah, I'm also not materialistic that much. Like, I'm not the Lambo guy. I am not like I don't play video games. I don't like buy expensive watches. Like, I don't just like that stuff.
right.
I love experiences, and so does my wife as well. And so that's what like drives us is like I love being able to like if I want to just go out on a Tuesday and order a double lobster tail, I can do it comfortably.
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Welcome to Financial Mastery Simplified, your go-to podcast for making smart money decisions. We break down complex financial topics into easy-to-understand advice you can use every day. Our experts cover everything from budgeting and saving to investing and retirement planning. We give you the tools to take control of your money and build the future you want. With Financial Mastery Simplified, you'll feel informed and empowered to make the best choices for your financial health. Tune in to Financial Mastery Simplified on your favorite podcast platform. Start your journey to financial confidence today. Welcome to House U, where we believe in the power of education. At House U, we're more than just a brand. We're your partner in home ownership, dedicated to educating, equipping, and empowering you every step of the way. Education is at the heart of everything we do. We offer comprehensive resources designed to make home ownership simple and accessible for all. From understanding mortgage options to mastering home maintenance, House U provides the knowledge you need to make informed decisions with confidence. We host workshops and seminars, bringing together experts and community members to share insights and build a stronger, more informed community. Because when you're educated, you're empowered. House U, home ownership made simple for all. Visit our website or contact us today to start your journey with House U. Empower yourself with knowledge and embrace the joy of home ownership.
Thanks for your patience. Now back to our conversation.
You know, we're like we go on a. I just went to the World Series on a whim, like you know, a lifelong dream, like that. I will forever remember last night going and seeing the Dodgers kick the Yankees' ass 3-0. Like that is what I like increase my wealth for, to do amazing memories and think. Like I don't care about the things. So like that's how I sort of maneuver through life and make eating like yes, I could definitely save money, but I love eating. So like
but I was gonna say, but that's what drives me crazy about some of the talking heads is because
yeah.
they're like, no, Austin, you should never, you know what I mean? Like you should save all and it's like, but that's not the case. So there's like two schools of thought. You have the people who are not planning for anything. They are failing financially because they're like YOLO and they're buying things willy-nilly, hoping that they're going to fill the void in them. I firmly believe that intention is what's going to drive you towards success. You have a thought in mind, you have where you want to go, you know yourself, right? Like you know that about yourself. And good for you for knowing that, because so many people will lie to themselves, oh no, I don't need to eat out, or like I am materialistic, I do like stuff.
Yeah, and
It's
there's nothing
just
wrong with that.
yeah, it's just like I like to shop. I like to buy things. Now probably too much, and I talk about that too. I throw myself under the bus a lot, and talk about how I have to make sure that I'm also buying things with intention, because it's super easy to get caught up in like the YOLO or oh my gosh, I have to have that fill in the blank, whatever it is, or I have to eat at that restaurant or whatever the case may be. But you just have to really think it through. And so, yeah, you might need a side hustle, or you might need to have a period of your life where you buckle down to figure out how that looks financially for you. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just think a lot of people don't think that through, right? Or they're not like you. Like, honestly, I applaud you that you found something that you loved early and you are
Mm.
willing to do the work. I mean, I don't know if everybody heard what he said. He said that he was an unpaid intern. How many people would have made that sacrifice in their life? Because I'm sure that during that period, that was not a fun financial time for you as an unpaid
Oh
intern
no.
living in Cali.
No, for many, many years, I, ate the ramen from the Walmart across the street from the house I lived at with several roommates.
Yeah.
I always saw the big picture though. I always zoomed out and, like you said, like saw where I wanted to be and reverse engineered and like that. And there were other people at the company too that did not have that same mindset, that
Right.
came and went and said, no, I don't want to work for free. And I get that. And if that's not you, that's fine. But I saw that big picture and it absolutely worked. My boss is now my business partner. And that
Nice.
he has invested in me tens of thousands of dollars, sending me, like, I was just fortunate, to be honest, to stumble into a position where I found a mentor and has come along. Like, we trust each other fully. We've worked together for 11 years now, two different companies, big picture, lots of alignment. It just has brought me into his family. I'm so fortunate and lucky, to be honest, to have stumbled into that, and lucky that I found what I am so passionate about at an early age. And I recognize that like so many people are still trying to find that thing. And I don't discredit that at all. I didn't, like, when I was 14 years old, be like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. No, I just like stumbled into something that I really enjoyed and never wanted to stop doing it.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of people, again, this comes back with being intentional. Like, you know what I mean? If you have something that you're really passionate about and maybe it doesn't financially work on paper immediately, again, you can kind of get creative. You can kind of think outside of the box. There's ways that you can accomplish it. But a lot of people don't like that. Success almost always comes with sacrifice. I literally did a post a few days
Absolutely.
ago about me, and I'm sitting on a bed, and just so we're clear, in this photo, I'm sitting on a bed in my mother's house. Yes, I'm over 40 years old and we are temporarily living with my parents. It's a very long story on how all of that played out, and I will talk about it on some episodes in future, but the truth is that I have multiple jobs. I am grinding it out. I have been writing a book. I'm actually in the process of writing several different books. I do this podcast. I'm trying to create free resources to help people. It's not always as pretty as I want it to be, but I know to get to where I want to be in life, if I'm not willing to make the sacrifice, no one's going to make that for me. It's got to be me going there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you also really appreciate things more as you stick with it. Like, because there were so many instances where I couldn't fill my gas tank. I just had to put $5 in just to get
Yep.
around for a little bit. And I still think about that. Like, when I go to fill up my tank, like, I fill up my tank now and I'm like, wow, I don't have to just put $5 in the tank anymore and worry about if I'm going to run out of the gas on the side of the road. And like, that could feel uncomfortable to people, right? Like, why put yourself through that at all when you could have like maybe a sustainable baseline? But I saw that big picture and I put in the effort and put in the years. And when you do that, like, at least for me, I consistently saw growth year over year as a human being. My skill set, my salary, the revenue that I'm bringing in, it stacks as long as you continue down that path and continue learning and continue growing. And I also recognize that is my mentality. Like, I'm never this is good enough. I don't think I'll ever be that way. I'm not that person. That's not how my brain works. For some people, it is. Some people want government job, set salary. They know every 6 months they're going to get a 1% raise or whatever, their path is. I don't have kids, which is the other thing too. I can take bigger risks,
Sure.
as my wife can as well. But like, you appreciate the path. Like, when you get to a certain point, you wake up and you're like, wow, I like a pretty good position. Like, I don't have to worry about this thing that was such a mental concern for me that just gave me anxiety and stress. Can I go out with friends? Like a group of friends would be like, hey, we're all going out to get drinks and hang out for a couple hours. You want to come? And it's like, yeah, I want to come, but I can't
Yeah,
buy a
yeah,
beer.
yep, yeah.
Like there's
I'll
a
be there
real
drinking water beside you.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
well, yeah, that's fair. And you do go out, or you just like you nurse that beer for 6 hours or
Yeah, it's warm by the time you're done with the
yeah,
cigarette.
yeah.
Well, I was
Full
gonna
of
say, I think that so many people don't realize that, and I think they see the end, and they're like, "Wow, I want that."
yeah.
And the truth is that I used to laugh. My mom, when I was a little girl, she would always be, "Jacko Nicole, have a good attitude. Have a good attitude." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I rolled my eyes every time, like, "Mom, what are you talking about? Please stop saying have a good attitude." But she wasn't wrong. If you're it's that mindset, that attitude, like where your thought process is, that's going to yield the positivity. And it took me a lot of years, way more than I'd like to admit, where I did sort of have, negative Nelly kind of attitude where, oh my gosh, and the world's against me. And the truth is, like you were talking about luck, I don't necessarily know 100% if I believe in luck. I think a lot of times it's what you're putting out there. What are you putting into the
Yeah,
universe? What are you expecting to get back, right? If you're
that's right.
expecting bad things to happen, guess what? Bad things are probably going to happen. You have to
Yeah.
expect that the world is going to show up in a positive way. And this was something that eluded me for the longest time too. I don't know. Have you ever read the book Who Not How? Ever read that book?
No.
Awesome book. It's so good,
Okay.
and it totally
I
changed my
will.
viewpoint because I'm such a doer in personality, right? Like, I'm like, nobody else is coming for me. I'm going, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I started recognizing that there were other who's in my life that could help me if I just raised my hand. Now, I'm not saying that every single person in my life, when I raise my hand, is going to come to my aid. However, I
Mm-hmm.
can't be afraid to ask for the help. And for years,
100%.
decades probably, I didn't ask for help because I was capable, I was smart enough, I was this, I was whatever. The truth is that sometimes you just have to ask for what you want. I mean, a perfect example is this conversation. So I have a lot of great respect for Austin. He has a lot more eyeballs than I have because of what he is good at. And if you've never watched his videos, you have to watch the ones where it's like knowing this piece of tech feels illegal. They're hilarious. He does lots of videos like this, and I was like, you know what? I would just love to have him on my podcast. He's such a positive guy. He has such a positive attitude, and so I said, I'm just gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him if he wants to be on the podcast. He could say no, and that's totally a possibility. But guess what? The answer is always going to be no if I never ask.
Yeah.
And so here we are having the conversation.
I love that. I resonate so much with you. And I love you, Jacqueline. Of course I would say yes. A million.
I
But
know,
like,
but you know what? You just never know. I mean, because people are busy, people have stuff going on, and I appreciate that. I appreciate their time.
yeah, most people want to help. And, a lot of our egos get in the way that prevent us from asking for help. So I completely agree there. Like so many people are like, I can figure this out myself. I can do this. But could you do it faster and better by just asking for help? A really cool story I just want to share. The reason why we met is through Video Marketing World.
Yep.
The reason why I was at Video Marketing World is because I asked. I had attended Video Marketing World years prior, loved it, learned a lot, was in the back of the room, started applying stuff, started growing on TikTok. I contacted Scott Simpson, who was the owner of Video Marketing World, on Facebook. I was in the Facebook group. And I said, hey, I love the conference. I've been before. I recognize that you haven't had a TikTok speaker yet to talk about TikTok. I've been growing pretty quickly on it. If you're ever looking for speakers, it's my dream to be a public speaker. And that's real. It's like a dream that I had and I've accomplished. But I asked him that, and he interviewed me on his podcast first to like test it out. And of course, you got to deliver, right? So of course, I knocked it out of the park. And I shot my shot again. I said, if I don't have a lot of experience, I have some experience. I would love to have the opportunity. And it just worked out. He said, we were going to have somebody be a TikTok speaker, but it didn't, there was a personality clash or something like that. And he said, would you like to lead the first ever TikTok for Business panel at Video Marketing World? And I said, absolutely. Put me in, coach. And so, I did all the due diligence and it was a great panel. It was well received, and I did so well that he invited me back the second year as a standalone keynote speaker, which is where we met.
That's
I was
right.
a standalone keynote speaker talking about TikTok for marketing, and that was a great conference. I love that conference. Fast forward to today, I am now business partner and half owner of that conference, and we're pivoting it to AI marketing world from video marketing world. So I'm partners
That's
with Scott.
awesome.
But all of that would not have happened if I didn't ask, if I didn't
That's
put
right.
out something that Scott was in a position to help me with. He could have said no, and it would have been okay. I still would have pursued my dream in other capacities. But he said yes. And Scott and I have become really close friends. I love Scott. I talk to Scott almost every day now.
I love that too.
And yeah, I mean, you don't know like what path you will go down just by asking for help.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, so I'm a part of a virtual local networking group, and we have a saying, and it's get into rooms where the thinking outthinks you. And
Love it.
honestly,
Love
the
that.
first time you ever do that, it is super uncomfortable because you're like, oh, I'm not the smartest person in this room. And let's be real, a little bit for our ego. Sometimes we like to be that, especially if you are a pretty smart person, you like to be kind of the smartest person in the room because there's like a comfort level there, right? That somebody asks you a question, you're not going to look like a moron and
Mhm.
you can answer them with confidence. But the truth is that if you're not stretching yourself, right, no matter what kind of position or whatever you have, and no matter what area of your life, personal, professional, I mean, I probably have grown more as a person in about the last 24 months than I've grown in the past 40 years. Just, learning, reading, asking questions, not being afraid to ask for what I want. So I've always asked questions, been curious, but I've never been brave enough to just put myself out there and say, okay, this is what I want. We're having the conversation. And anybody who's watched the very first episode of this podcast with Trevor Houston, which that's why I met him through Video Marketing World.
Love Trevor.
He was the first person I reached out to when I wanted to start the podcast. I was like, okay, so I want to help people. I have a mission that I want to make financial information available to people and not the typical pay off all of your debt to be debt free. And there's your version of financial success. I believe everybody can be successful in their own way, right? My way doesn't have to look like Austin's way, it doesn't have to look like somebody else's way, right? We can all achieve financial greatness in our own terms. Your life, your terms. I believe that to its fullest. I think I could get that message out in a more effective way doing a podcast. Trevor was the first one who suggested that I should do one. So I just randomly reached out to him. He didn't have to help me. He could have been like, hey, random person I talked to for 30 minutes one time at Video Marketing World several years ago. I don't want to talk to you. And that would have been the end of it. Like you said, that would have been the end of it. It would have been like,
Left you
okay,
on red.
right. It's fine. But because I was willing to do that, I started doing this, right? And I also started trying to find guests who want to get their message out, who want to have a stage to speak from, because that's truly what it's all about. So when you're thinking to yourself, can I really start a side hustle or can I really level up my financial game? The answer is yes, but neither Austin or I can tell you what that looks like for you. We can make suggestions. We can tell you how we think would be the best route, the route that we took, but our viewpoints are going to be different than yours. Our path is going to be different from yours. But yes, like I said, you totally have to read that book, Who Not How. I think my mind was just completely blown. I was like, I've been doing this wrong my whole life. I've just been trying to do it myself the whole time. I'm like, oh, wow, that's not how I should have been doing any of this.
Yep.
I think you're better at asking for who, not how than I ever was. But for me, it was just, it was mind blowing, for sure.
We're always learning. I mean, there's so many, but like that, I'm excited to read that book. That sounds great. I mean, there was a recent book, "Buy Back Your Time" by Dan Martell, which is phenomenal. Have you read that one?
I know, but I got to mark it down. I'm like, okay, grab my phone, make a list into my list of books. I have a list on my phone of all the books I need to read.
That is another book that was just so good. It's like a modern day, better 4-hour work week about just delegating to like literally buy back your time. Like put a dollar value on how much your time is worth. And if you are worth more or you can make more money than it costs to hire somebody to do that task, do it, because your
Right.
time is your most valuable asset.
For
So
sure.
like I have people that, like could I like mow my own lawn and save that? Yes. Or do I pay $75 bi-weekly to somebody to mow my lawn, which I have a huge backyard, which would take me 2 hours to mow the thing every week or every other week or whatever. And I can sit on my computer or I can make a video on my phone that will instantaneously make more than my investment in that. And same thing like email management. Like I used to spend hours and hours in email every day, and so many people listening to this probably do too. Well, I have an assistant that helps manage my emails for me, and I just jump in there like 1 or 2 times a day to like personally respond to stuff. But she manages my emails for me, and like there's so many other things. Like like I said at the beginning, like I don't like the financial side of business, so I have trusted people that do that side of the business for me. And same thing on the technical side. We're a software company. I didn't learn how to code to save this myself. I brought on a trusted expert friend to do that so that I could focus on my expertise and save a lot of my time. Could I do everything?
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Would I want to? Hell no. Would that bring me joy? Hell no. I've through stuff like this, like crafted a life. Like I love what I do every single day because I have given the stuff that I've outsourced my suck. I always like to say things I suck at, things I don't want to do,
That's a good way to
mental
say it.
capacity. And it's, you have to find those trusted people. But like, that's another important thing that was such a hard lesson for me too, because I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. I am like a first generation entrepreneur from like three generations out. So that was a hard lesson. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like another great book. Like I had to learn the hard way that by outsourcing to free up your time, if you have the right mentality, is better than you saving money.
For sure.
That was such a hard lesson to learn.
Oh no, it is.
Most people don't want to learn it.
The hard part too is that because again, if you are pretty capable of doing a lot of things, you just tell yourself, well, I shouldn't pay somebody else to do that. And it's not true. Actually, you probably should. If it doesn't bring you joy, if it's not something that you are inherently good at or whatever, like for you said that that's financials and numbers is not exactly what you want to do. Well, you could probably get yourself in a world of hurt. You're better off, you know what I mean? Having somebody else do it so that you don't accidentally mess it up. I mean, there's things like that it's the same for me, right? And so I think a lot of times, people just they haven't thought that all the way through as well. Maybe at the beginning you have to do a lot of things to kind of get to that piece, and then but literally you should be already making a list of the things that when you can afford to offload them, hey, here's where it is. And we've literally never lived in a time, never, where there's so many resources for so reasonable a price to be able to help you with things, right? Absolutely. I mean, you have people that are in all other countries that you can hire for not a lot of money to do all kinds of things from an electronic aspect, right? Checking your emails, my end game, the reason I did not do video for the longest, you're gonna laugh so hard at me, I didn't want to edit them. I was like, hell no, I'm not going to edit these videos. I'm not going to sit here for hours and edit videos. I'm just not going to do it. This looks like misery to me. I'm not doing it. And so I have a video editor. He is my non-negotiable. I will not do video if Wamel's not going to edit them because I'm just not going to do it. That's just not going to happen.
That was a hard one for me to hand off, which I've handed off in the last couple of months because I do like video editing. And I do like my content creation, but I really
not your highest and best use.
What?
Not your highest and best use.
Yeah. So I like the creative process. I like shooting a video and editing it in CapCut or InShot or apps I use on my phone. And I always did video editing on Adobe Premiere. But like again, that book, Buy Back Your Time. What that book had me do was really log my days. So I spent like a month or 3 weeks or a month or something like that. Like every task that I did on a daily basis, I wrote it down and how much time it took me. Like if I check my emails for 30 minutes, I lock that down. Like how long does it take me to actually record, edit, and publish a video, and like all of these things. And so that's one that like now I have a girl overseas that I paid $10 a video. It takes me about 30 minutes to edit one of my short form videos. Every video that I create now, I can have her do it for $10. I value my time at much higher than $10. So I can do more to earn more income while that aspect is taken care of. And I like the Gary Vee approach as well, as something I learned from Gary Vee, that like he loves to be hands-on and I want to be hands-on. So like I can skip the middle, which is editing, but I still publish. Like I don't, that's my hand on the pulse. I love that creative process. Like I'm still researching and coming up with ideas. I will record it, send it off to edit. I get it back, and then I actually publish the content, and that saves me like I think I calculated like an extra 5+ hours a week, and that is a lot of extra time that I can allocate towards growing my business and doing other things that I love, taking a longer lunch break for my mental health, or impromptu walk with my wife and my dog. Like it just gives you more freedom to do things that you enjoy, and that sometimes making more money, but it's also just more freedom too.
Oh no. Well, I was going to say, my goal with Financial Mastery Simplified wasn't so that everybody in this who listens makes so much money that they never, whatever. It's just for them to find their path, right? To live life with intention, to live it on their terms. Like for me, it's like I have free resources about the budgeting. The budgeting tool is not to say, oh, Austin, for shame on you, you spent $30 on your lunch or whatever. It's to get you to realize, where's your money going? Do you know? Are you good with it? Do we need to make shifts, right? Do you maybe need to buckle down for a minute to get yourself to the next level? So then $30 on lunch is no big deal. Like who cares about $30? You know what I mean? Like what does that look like for you? Because to me, it doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, I've always, and I've always been so different in mortgage in that respect. Like people would come to me and we would talk through everything. And then they'd be like, I'm not ready yet. I want to rent a house for a little while longer, whatever. And then I'll come back. Okay. If they'll ask me, if I should do it now, I mean, I'll give them the financial reasons that it probably does behoove them to do it. But if they say, hey, that's not where I'm at right now, okay, that's fine. Like, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Like, a lot of people would try to force you to do a loan, but that's just not my style. I'm not trying to force you to do something that you're not going to be happy with. And so I just think that a lot of people don't think that through. And as we're coming to the close, Austin, tell everybody, what you enjoyed about today. And also, I think with your company, you do have a special offer for listeners. So if they are looking to level up and maybe do some video marketing things, they could utilize your resources as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love talking about this stuff. Like I said at the beginning, you're always a pleasure to talk to. And I think this was just a really fun conversation that I'm happy that we are both in a position to spend our time sharing and educating and saying what's been working for us. And hopefully it inspires or helps some other people. Maybe there was hopefully some nuggets of wisdom that people could take away from this. I took, the book away. I'm always learning every conversation too. I'm excited to read that book. And yeah, if anyone wants to try Syllabi, so again, Syllabi is a AI powered software tool that allows you to find the best topics that your customers are searching for online. It will write video scripts for you. It will create videos however you want. So you can create videos with your own AI avatars or stock avatars or faceless videos, or you can edit directly in Syllabi. We have a custom video editor. So if you just want to find topics and write a script and then you actually record the content, you can edit it, and then you can schedule and publish it instantly to all of your social media platforms. We have a content calendar. We connect to every major social media platform. It's $25 a month that you can create about a month's worth of content for next to nothing. And if you want it even cheaper than that, if you use the code CHALLENGE, it'll save 25% on the first month of any monthly plan or any annual plan. The annual plans are already discounted. So if you want the lowest rate ever, use Challenge on an annual plan. And we're very built in public. We have a very rich community as well. So you can come on, like Syllabi Content Creators is our Facebook group. We have a Discord community. Syllabi is built by creators for creators. So if you try it out, you test it, you love it, or there's a feature you really wish you would that we would add, like Jacqueline has told me over the last year.
I've given you some pictures before.
that like, please fix this, or I wish it had this. And like, yeah, we've got your back. We do the best that we can. So, we invest in you as you invest in this company's growth. And that's one of the things that sets us apart. But yeah, syllabi.io, syllaby.io. Use the code challenge to save 25%.
And we'll go ahead and we'll make sure that in the show notes that all that information is there as well. Well, it has been a pleasure, and we hope that you got something out of this episode of Financial Mastery Simplified, and we hope you see you next episode.